What is the primary function of DNS, domain name system? DNS resolves fully qualified domain names, like www.professormesser.com, into their associated IP addresses so users don't need to memorize numeric addresses. Why is DNS often described as a distributed database? DNS is distributed because different servers around the world hold different portions of the overall database, rather than one server containing all records. Approximately how many root server clusters make up the core of the DNS hierarchy? There are 13 root server clusters in the DNS hierarchy, though each cluster is made up of many individual physical servers, over 1,000 in total. Which command line tool, common on Linux and Mac OS, is used to query DNS server records? The dig command is commonly used on Linux and Mac OS, and some Windows versions, to query a DNS server and view its resource records. Which Windows command provides similar DNS query functionality to the dig command? nslookup is the Windows command used to query DNS servers and view resource records, similar to the dig command on Linux/Mac. What is the general term for the entries stored in a DNS database, such as IP addresses, mail server info, and aliases? Resource records, RR, are the entries in a DNS database that store information such as IP addresses, certificate details, email data, and alias names. Which DNS record type maps a hostname to an IPv4 address? An A record, address record, maps a hostname to an IPv4 address. Which DNS record type maps a hostname to an IPv6 address? An quad A record, also called a quad A record, maps a hostname to an IPv6 address, as opposed to the A record which is used for IPv4. What does the time to live, TTL, setting on a DNS record control? The TTL determines how long a DNS record is cached by a resolver or client before it needs to be looked up again, allowing changes to propagate within that window. Which DNS record type allows a server to be referenced by multiple alias names, e.g., ftp.example.com and www.example.com, a name that all canonical name to a single canonical record allows hostname. Multiple alias names to point to a single server's canonical hostname, simplifying administration if the underlying IP address changes. Which DNS record type identifies the mail server responsible for receiving email on behalf of a domain? The MX, mail exchanger, record specifies the mail server that should receive email for a given domain, which sending servers look up before delivering messages. Which DNS record type stores human-readable text data and is often used for domain verification and anti-spam configurations? TXT, text, records store human-readable text data and are commonly used for domain ownership verification and anti-spam mechanisms like SPF and DKIM. Which email authentication method uses a public/private key pair, with the public key published in DNS, to digitally sign outgoing messages and verify they weren't altered? DKIM, domain keys identified mail, digitally signs outgoing email with a private key. The recipient verifies the signature using the corresponding public key published in a DNS TXT record. Which DNS TXT-based mechanism lists which mail servers are authorized to send email on behalf of a domain? SPF, Sender Policy Framework, is a TXT record that lists the mail servers authorized to send email for a domain, helping receivers detect spoofed messages. Which record allows a domain owner to specify what should happen to email messages that fail SPF or DKIM validation, e.g., reject, quarantine, or allow, and where reports domain-based message authentication, reporting, and conformance, lets a domain owner define a policy for handling messages that fail SPF or DKIM checks, and specifies an address for receiving disposition reports. Great job! You made it through all 15 questions. Subscribe to Trivia Challenge for more fun challenges. See you next time.